Hi, this is Micheal.
And Tristan.
This is Weeabuds podcast.
Yes, this is a special episode where basically we're plotting out the remainder of not just 2021, just our list of games we're going to play for the, it's going to be more casual. We're not going to be like thinking too much about this. So,
we should probably start off with what we're working on right now.
Yeah, that makes sense. So right now, for me, I'm finishing off 3D World. Mario 3D World just recently came out for Switch. It was a Wii U port that failed. Actually, it's a Wii U game that failed that they ported to Switch.
And that's actually pretty good. I remember I played the original version with my nephew back when it came out, and I hated it because I didn't care for the multiplayer too much. But that game's actually pretty fantastic.
Yeah, I have this thing on my Switch where I want to get through the game and then delete it because it takes up a lot of space. But I guess these days I'm like that more with the PS5 because they have, I haven't modified the space on it, but the you're laughing because there's not many games on it yet.
Yeah, when I got my PS5, you're like, watch out, man, you already used half your hard drive downloading free games, and then you went home and I checked and it was over half.
Yeah, it was basically all gone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the space in the PS5 kind of sucks now that I think about it. And
that's just PS4 games. It's not even PS5 games.
Well, yeah, we don't have any PS5 games.
Well, I have Control.
Well, that's barely a PS5 game.
It's like a PS5
That's like saying the 3D World is a Switch game, or you know what I mean?
But it is. No one played it on the Wii U.
That makes sense. And everybody played Control on PS4. It was like a critically acclaimed game that won Game of the Year at different outlets.
Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah. It's a good game. I played most of it. I didn't complete it, but I'll check it out because you want me to. So I guess...
I just want you to support games that take advantage of the DualSense.
Man, I guess I will add it to the list, but I'm not ranking it.
That's
a good way to
add it. You don't need to beat it. You just need to play it for an hour or two.
List. Okay, so that's a good way to do this. So right now, basically, what you're kind of in the middle of, which the audience listening to this, basically, we're trying to create, our backlog, and we're writing it live while we're talking. we didn't really come prepared with this. So
we're trying to decide how to spend our limited time.
Yeah, basically, we could have less time than we currently have, but time is always running up. Mm-hmm. So Control.
Hashtag time's up.
Time's up. We support time's up. You're at Weeabuds. Anyway, so I put Control on my list. It is pretty low ranking. So Ghost of Tsushima doesn't count because
that's just ongoing.
Yeah, that's basically we have our PS Plus subscription and we're continuously playing it, and it may actually be close to the sunset of our time on that game, depending on what our experience becomes from here.
Basically, we're at gold right now, and we're chilling pretty hard there. It's fun. We're able to beat it. We're currently working on getting 110 level equipment, but we tried nightmare mode and we died instantly.
You know what we should probably do once we get to 110? We should go and
do raids.
We should go where the raids, the end game stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, for sure. But we should do that stuff you talked about where we go and help noobs.
Oh,
that
yeah.
Sounds so dope.
We just go into bronze.
Go to silver. Dude, bronze is overkill. Those things are 15.
Silver is overkill.
But let's go make it a little bit of a thing, where we run in and we just are with people and they're just cheering because they just get free stuff.
Yeah, they just look at us and they're like, well, these are legends on the battlefield.
Dude, I want to feel like that.
Yep.
I'm a hero. But you have to be really pimp looking with really make yourself
glowing armor.
Yeah, you have to do all the end game stuff. Anyway, so Ghost doesn't count.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you currently playing?
Right now I'm playing Nier Automata.
Yeah.
I beat it, but apparently I still have 3 more credits scenes to go.
You absolutely have not beaten that game, and that is fake. So, yeah, So you still have most of the game left, I think. But
For some reason, they put the credits in like the first third of the game.
yeah, have you done all the underground arenas? There are three underground arenas.
3 different locations with underground arenas.
3 separate underground, like one location that was accessible to 2B. One was accessible to.
I think I've done 1 battle in 1 arena.
So you have an arena though.
I did one. I did 1 battle and then I left.
That's the one in the desert, right?
No.
Where was that one?
It was
like
in the flooded city.
Okay, yeah. There was one in the desert too.
I think I found it, but I just like this place looks lame, and then I left.
There was one in the forest, but you can't get there unless you understand.
Is it under a waterfall?
Yeah.
I had a feeling.
Okay. Well, you have the.
I know where the 2 others are, but I didn't.
You'll have the opportunity soon. But anyway, so you bringing that up, bringing up Nier, unfortunately adds another item to my list.
What's that?
Nier Replicant version, whatever the hell.
Isn't that a cell phone game?
No, that's Nier ghost game. I don't. It has like a little ghost cheat thing, but like you know what I'm talking about. You seen that? But anyway.
So you're gonna do that's like the remake of the first Nier, right?
Yeah. Honestly, I checked it out. It looks absolutely more like a remaster than it is a remake.
It's like a PS3 game.
Something like that, and there's some things that are janky about it, and the combat system was a little bit. It's not like this one. This Nier Automata was developed by Platinum Games. They specialize in combat games and doing like mixed genre things. Mm-hmm. And so they did a fantastic job with Automata. You like Automata, right?
That's pretty good, yeah.
Yeah. So
great soundtrack.
Absolutely. But that's probably one of the reasons you want to play Replicant, because it was also lauded for its soundtrack.
I have heard that, and I've heard parts of the soundtrack. I think it might be the same composer.
I believe it is. So
that's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, and they make the style a bit more cohesive to who's the character designer for
Yoshida?
Yeah, so Yoshida made your favorite, probably my favorite.
A lot of my favorite games, but especially my favorite video game character, 2B.
Yeah, basically 2B is.
We're gonna do a podcast after I finish Nier where we talk about
the Simp podcast.
The Simpcast.
Simp casting on 2B.
We'll get Satish in there.
Oh yeah, but he has that. He can't play it, but you can send him images and be like.
So let's talk about like this.
What do you think
this
of
waifu?
Yeah, what do you think of this 2B waifu? Anyway, I love 2B. Anyway, so
2B or not 2B?
2B. And so Nier Replicant is coming up. It's a PS4 game though, but as we already mentioned, we got a shit ton of. We got a bunch of PS4 game. Beep. Boop. We've got a bunch of PS4 game on.
PS5.
They take up most of the space.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm trying to think about like what PS5 games are really coming up in the near term, and like I just don't think it makes much sense to talk about PS5 games on this list.
Like, in all honesty, like I love my PS5. I think it's like a pinnacle of technology, but there really are no games on it.
Not right now, but it's a fantastic what they did with the controller. And then they had recent. Like these rumors, like about a drift on the.
Oh, I hope that's not true.
I think that's where my conspiracy theory comes in. I think that's like Nintendo
propaganda.
Yeah, Nintendo's like, oh, we got this lawsuit. It's just a thing, guys, that we're starting to serve. They're trying to like diminish it, because if they can make a claim that that's just the artifact of all controllers, and that like. Something about like all people using it, like so many controllers out there. Mm-hmm. Like I don't know, there's some BS.
You've gone through 4 Joy-Cons and they all drift
multiple times. Not 4 Joy-Cons, Mike. 4 Joy-Cons, 3 of which were sent and received repairs from Nintendo, sent back to me, did not drift, and then drifted sometime later. Not
so it's long. Like 7.
Yeah, it's really bad. So
anyway. I've basically stopped using my Joy-Cons. I just play that with a Pro Pad, which defeats the point.
Defeats the point, exactly. So I don't want to get into that right now. That's a separate. I don't want to start.
You just want to talk about what games we're.
I was done with Switch. I was done playing it, but then 3D World is just like
too good.
I can get a fantastic.
Yeah, that
Mario
brought you
game.
back.
Yeah, fantastic Mario game. I don't want to mention this. This is a very serious thing I'm about to bring up. I don't like this because you have to do, Horizon Zero Dawn looms large. This has been something that's been over half a year.
Mm-hmm. Like we talked about, like why am I going to get a PS5 to play Horizon Zero Dawn?
You basically had an agreement that you would play Horizon Zero Dawn for like almost half a year at this point. It's pretty scary, actually.
Yep.
It's been a bit. That is true.
But we knew that there would be a drought of PS5 games.
Yeah.
When we bought it.
You knew that. You're like, I don't need a PS5 because I can get to Horizon Zero Dawn on my PS4. And it's good that you do have a PS5 now because it'll be faster loaded. They'll have faster loading and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But my goodness.
So after I beat Nier, I'm moving on to Horizon.
Yeah, but there's a thing to bring up.
Bravely.
Well, yeah, but I don't want to get. I want to talk about that like later too.
Mm-hmm.
But, like I want to touch on your feelings about that. It's Pokemon.
Oh.
Yeah. So Pokemon is actually like that's.
We never got to Sword and Shield.
We never got to Sword and Shield.
Should I give up on Moon?
No.
Just keep working on Moon.
That's the problem. Is when would you work on Moon?
When I'm laying in bed every night.
Yeah, but would you really get to it? And when would you get to it? You have so many. Like I said, we're here to sort out the needs and talk about priorities. It's the time, and it matters.
I want to beat it, but these Pokemon games are so long. They're an investment.
I'm not starting Pokemon Sword and Shield until you do.
Should I drop Sun and Moon?
No. No, there's no point. Like you should get through Sun and Moon or whatever,
and then eventually.
Yeah, I don't think that you should get. Okay, so I'm actually gonna make a statement. It's gonna be kind of grim.
Mm-hmm.
I regret having you do the Ultra, because basically we got the sequel or the like kind of upgraded versions of Sun and Moon, Ultra Sun and Moon, and Mike, you have Moon or Sun or whatever.
I had Moon, and then now I have Ultra Sun.
Yeah, so I actually think that you should have played the original. Why? Because I think it has a fantastic like ramp to the finale, and then they kind of make it a little odd and take some of the punch out of some of the things. There's some really cool stuff they do, so it's like a better version overall, but I just like the story better at the end. But
it doesn't have that punch.
It has less of a punch. Like, I don't want to spoil it, but like basically I will say one of the final bosses is not a Pokemon, and like the way they do it is intense. And it's like I've never seen like some supernatural or alien stuff happen, but like they do some really freaky stuff, and you won't get that. You don't get that in this one.
That's lame.
They do some really cool stuff outside of that, but like
it's not the same.
No, it's not the same. I don't think.
That sucks.
Because of like there's like a payoff from a character development standing, but like and we're like talking about character development in a Pokemon game. So I mean, I really want to go and check out Sword and Shield though, because it's like the closest to an open world Pokemon game.
Not to mention like there's events and stuff that they're having right now.
There's some cool stuff about that game that I think we would probably enjoy, like seeing the most like realized version of the series.
If you had to pick between Pokemon Sword and Shield or Bravely Default 2, that's a grim decision.
Oh, don't make me make that decision. I have an answer to that.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on the reviews.
Bravely 2.
Where apparently they've got a good review embargo on that thing.
So it's not until like Friday that they're gonna have it.
Apparently, I've seen review embargoes a lot. Like Death Stranding had a 2-week review space, or at least a week. They had and so they have less than a week for it.
That's pretty bad.
I think there's something wrong there. I read some preliminary like interpretations of the first hours of the game, not the demo, but like the legitimate game, and they say that the character design is really crappy. It just doesn't match this upgrade in the game's like fidelity, like in the previous one.
So it's like it went from
but
it has like a DS look. The original.
Like and they still have that. It just doesn't look as good now because like they've upgraded the graphics to be more realistic. It's less cartoony or cel shady, and that kind of like it just doesn't work the same. It looks odd or something. But that might be like an aesthetic like argument that maybe like isn't as big of a concern. I think some people said like the battle system is kind of too hard or stale. Yeah,
I don't
like
know if that sounds
wrong-
like a bogus criticism.
wrong genre or something for you. Then I guess I mean they're hard. I think they're like ridiculously hard. And I remember the ramp of difficulty and Bravely Default was terrifying. I remember sitting there on the couch talking to you about how terrible like this ramp of difficulty was.
I wish that like JRPGs were hard though, because it's like, what's the point of giving you all these abilities and like spell effects and stuff if you never have to like really use them?
But you should have beat Octopath Traveler then.
If it had a better story, I would have.
That's not cool. That story was good. I think you just had other things on your plate.
Yeah, I remember what happened. I was playing it, I liked it, and then I decided to try Hollow Knight.
But then you didn't beat Hollow Knight.
Because I got distracted by another game.
You see, that's why we need these game lists. Because Hollow Knight is another one to add to your list.
I'll put it on there.
I personally, before you, like, I would even recommend that you do Bravely Default.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'd say consider it Bravely Default because you've at least played one of the games in the series.
I played 2.5.
You played 2.5?
Yeah, I played Bravely second. I got pretty far into it.
You played 1.5 then, right?
Yeah, 1.5.
Okay.
1.75.
Where'd you get to in it? Did you use the Bravely second?
I did use the Bravely second.
You got to that point?
Mm-hmm.
That's the hypest stuff.
And then I stopped playing.
My God. That's the only good part of that.
No Revo, no buy.
I hear that. Well, they got a Revo now, so that's like, you should, like, if people say that the soundtrack for Bravely Default 2 is hot stuff, will you, like, play that game?
I'll play it. I can't guarantee I'll beat it.
You beat the first one.
It took a lot of effort.
That's
And that was
really cool.
that was a very different time when I beat that first
Had a
one.
really cool twist, dude.
It had a cool twist, but
Cool twist.
it's harder. It has to like really hold my attention for me to like enthusiastically want to drop over 100 hours into it these days.
Yeah. I remember Xenoblade Chronicles 2. You were like kind of just not into that, and I had to sit down, similar to like you showing me D&D tonight, and like walk you through like the system. Once you picked up that
our Dunkin' Donuts meetings,
yeah, dude,
that was hype.
tight.
Yep.
Yeah, but that made a difference actually.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then you were like, "Oh man, this game is good." You know, once you.
Yep.
Yeah, it took a little bit of like engagement, and the only reason I had been able to know the things I was showing you is because I learned those after I beat the game. I literally button mashed through that game and like was just because I'm like a gonna be dumb, gotta be tough type.
Mm-hmm.
So I just was really dumb and frustrated.
Did you really beat it that much sooner than I did?
Absolutely. There was no comparison.
I think I played it and then I'm like, okay, that's cool. And then like months went by and you're like, hey, how far are you? I'm like in the first area or something. You're like, oh man, that's not good.
Yeah.
I was like playing that game. I'd go to the laundromat and like I'd have my Switch with me and headphones on, like just playing Xenoblade while my laundry's being done.
Well, I really loved that Xenoblade 2 game.
It was good.
That was a good game.
Still need to go back for Torna. I'm gonna put that on there.
Yeah, absolutely. That should be on there before Bravely Default. You should put that as one of the media things. That should, you know what, where that should be? That should be right after you beat
Nier.
Well, no, absolutely not. It's Horizon. But then after Horizon,
it's Torna.
Yeah.
Well, Torna's not even that long,
You
right?
could alternate between the two. I mean, they're different games, you know.
Yeah, different systems.
Yeah, so I would put Torna up there because then after Torna you should do that expansion thing for Xenoblade Chronicles.
I hear that. I don't know if I'm gonna go back and do all of Xenoblade 1 though.
I'm not. I was going to. I can't do it.
It looks nice. I was like, man, this is really pretty, and like it looks really good now. And then I'm like, but I've already spent like 120 hours on this game, like not that long ago.
When I got to War Plains, I just was like, this feeling of oppression settled over me.
Just knowing how much is ahead of it.
Like, oh no.
Da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah, and then basically I started running through the thing, and I was just like horrified.
Mm-hmm.
And then like then past it, I got to the marsh, the Satoru Marsh or whatever.
You got further than I did.
And I was like, oh god, no. And so I kept going, and then I got to the Makai Forest or whatever that.
You got pretty far.
Yeah, and I got to that forest, and I was like ready to go up into that like little
Cloud City area.
And I was just like getting really upset by like how much.
Because you're only like 30%
I'm like,
through.
oh boy, this game is too big. I slowly.
Man, that was a meaty game.
Yeah, Yeah, I had like a good amount of excitement. I was like starting to kind of get ramping into it.
Do you regret playing the 3DS version instead of waiting for the Switch version?
At the time I played the 3DS version, I felt it was life changing. It made me emotional, like about like I know this is a weird thing to say, but like I'm a big ass nerd, so but it was like made me think about relationships. It was
like that game was like a big emphasis was on relationships, relationships with towns, relationships with your party.
Yeah, they did a really good job. It's like what's missing in Final Fantasy games. It's like heart. If that makes sense, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
like the little like scenes with
it wasn't
your people.
style over substance. It was like focused on the story and the relationships more than it was. In fact, they had a bunch of things with dedicated interactions between characters.
Heart to hearts.
Yeah, they had a bunch of things where they just flesh out your character interactions.
Yeah, they were pretty good too. They're like some of the highlights of the game, actually.
Yeah, I like it. So I mean, I'm really looking forward to that. I mean, I know just this past week they announced the Xenoblade, or the week before, I guess. Yeah, the Xenoblade character was going to be in Smash, Pyra and Mithra. So that's
a good pick.
People go hating on that.
Don't hate on that. It's a good choice.
They're saying, "Oh, Xenoblade wasn't that successful. Like Pikmin 3 sold just as much as this did in 2 years in like 3 months." I'm like, I don't know about that stat. If that's a real stat, that's crazy. I'm like, who wants Pikmin? Like, I know a bunch of people that want Weeaboo anime
waifus.
Yeah, waifu RPG games on the Switch. So something about that seemed off with me.
I'm a little disappointed that Cosmos wasn't like a Smash character.
Oh yeah.
She'll be in DLC Pack 3.
Yeah, Sakurai and this guy. I think Sakurai likes that Xenoblade stuff. So
he fanboyed pretty hard over it when it came out.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting game, and it is pushing the RPG format in a lot of ways. I can't wait to see what they do with the sequel, or whatever direction they take that series, which they will. They'll take it somewhere. And I think you got to play Torna, because what they do with Torna is they refine the battle system, and they create like new areas to run around in, which is cool.
My problem with Torna though is that I liked Xenoblade 2 a lot. I thought it was a fantastic game. But when I loaded up the DLC pack, the only thought that really came to mind was, I'm like, I know how this is going to end already.
Absolutely. That's like going to be the hardest part for you, because it was for me. It's like, oh, this is going to end grim. And then it does. Anyway, there's no getting away from how that goes.
You're like, there's only one way.
And it's like really trippy too.
Is there anything revealed?
Well, like you
is there anything to reveal? I guess is what
meet Adam, but there's nothing that like pushes the there's no like birth by sleep moment where they like reveal the real story.
What like Xenoblade 3 is going to be about?
Yeah, there's nothing like that, and I still don't know if the Xenoblade's expansion for that remaster, like that extra content, if it has something like that. I think
that's something I'm going to put that on the list.
I would say potentially consider that before
Torna.
I don't think there's a rush.
Yeah, they're both probably short too.
Torna is substantial. It's short, but
it's like 30 hours.
You'll put 20 hours.
That's not that bad. That's not bad.
Yeah, but the combat system is a much more refined. Anyway, so Near Replica's on my list, Control's on my list, but I haven't really. That's not a lot.
Well, that's all your list is.
There's Pokemans.
Okay.
Sword and Shield, but I'll tell you what's definitely coming up. I am in a rush to finish 3D World, which I'm basically. But then even once I finish 3D World, I still have Bowser's Fury.
Oh yeah, Bowser's Fury.
Because basically, I'm talking about the main game. I'm like trying to save dessert for last. So
yeah, it's like Bowser's Fury is supposed to be the reason we bought this. But I never got to play 3D World.
Yeah,
that much.
Once I finish trying these final levels again, I'm just gonna go straight to Bowser's Fury.
Well, I'm gonna suggest something, and I don't know how much you're gonna take it seriously, but it's a very honest and heartfelt suggestion to you.
Sure.
And that is Yakuza Like a Dragon PS5 edition. I honestly feel it's probably gonna be the best game that I played this year.
Yeah, I know you really heartfelt like that one. Well, I didn't get it on PS4 or the PS4 version, even though you had a heartfelt plea at the time. But you mentioned that it was coming to PS5, so that was part of why I didn't get it.
Yeah, just wait like 2 weeks for the PS5 version.
So what I know is I'm not going to do Pokemon Shield for a bit until you get. You need to put that Pokemon as a thing. A pencil. You need to put that Pokemon as a thing you're working on. You're chipping on that one still.
All right, even if it's like 30 minutes a day or something.
I don't know, but you got to chip away at that one, and then. But I don't know how, because if you're balancing.
Wake up. When I wake up in the morning, I play 30 minutes of Pokemon.
That's a lot of games.
Did I ever tell you how I played Pokemon, like Omega Ruby or whatever it was? Like, it got to a point where I was like, man, I really don't want to fuck. Like, I don't. Beep.
Beep.
It got to a point when I realized I really didn't want to play this Pokemon Ruby game anymore. So I'd bring my 3DS to work, and then during my lunch break, I'd spend 30 minutes playing it, and then eventually I beat it. So I'll play it during my lunch break.
This is my thing. Don't do it until you beat Bowser's Fury. Whenever you move on to Bowser's Fury, like after you finish Bowser's Fury, then go into it. You've beaten 3D World.
No, I haven't.
You're doing extra stuff. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't want to hear you talk about beating every level with all 5 characters, because you're gonna be like, I don't want to hear that. That's not a condition that you should. I'm talking about beating the thing. You can work on that on the side if that's something over the years. That's something.
Well, like that's for the Grandmaster Galaxy version, right?
Well, you don't need to beat all 5 to get Grandmaster.
What do you need to do?
You just need to have collected all the stars. And
what's that 5 characters thing?
That's just for like an extra. Basically, for each character. Mm-hmm. So you've been collecting stamps, right?
Yeah.
So stamps, you get like there's a character focused final stamp. So if you get everything with Mario, you get a character focused.
So it's like for a stamp.
Yeah.
Does that mean you got to do the Grandmaster Galaxy level
5 times? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really care about that.
I mean,
just for a stamp.
I'm gonna warn you something. 5, the Grandmaster thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the only one you should be afraid of. There's another level thing in the final that is like pretty like just like, oh god, because there's a point where you say, why? What is games? What is games, and who am I? And basically,
why am I playing this?
Well, yeah, what do I want in my life? And
I've had that conversation with myself many times where I'm like,
who am I?
Why am I playing this game if I hate it?
Yeah. So like when you play a game and it takes you to that moment, that's when
you're done.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's a good place.
Didn't you have that realization with the game recently? Which one was it?
Man, what did I? Because that's a rare.
I was like, whoa, you quit a game.
Yeah, that's a rare realization for. Oh yeah, it was the Octo expansion for Splatoon 2. Basically, I was like,
you bailed on that?
Yeah, dude. I got sued. Octo expansion is known to be ruthless, like high tier, like max Nintendo stuff. And so, like, I got to a point where I'm like, no, I can't do this anymore. I got things I need in my life, and
I have goals and dreams.
Yeah, I have things that I once wanted, and like, I don't feel healthy right now, like mentally or physically. So I just like, I will beat this game tonight and move on with my life and feel completed, and that's what I did. And I rushed through and I beat the game.
Not 100%.
No, not 100%, but I beat a lot of it. But like, I think that was a good moment for me as a person.
Are you excited for Splatoon 3?
Yes. But I'm not as excited as I would have been if I had beaten that Octo expansion 100%. There was a moment of cognitive dissonance, I will admit. But Octo but like, I don't know, maybe that's like something I need to like work through psychologically.
Yeah, it sounds like a personal problem.
Yeah. But like, I'm thinking like maybe I didn't beat Mario 3D World for the same reason.
Now, I've had that conversation many times where, what was the game I played? Oh, it was Ukulele and the 1,000 or Impossible Lair or whatever.
Oh, God, that's the same for me. Yeah, that's another one I did. Hell yes, dude.
Like, the Impossible Lair, in my opinion, actually was impossible. I think I was actually buffer than you.
Did you beat the Impossible?
No.
Oh, no. It dropped off.
it dropped off, and I'm like, oh, I'm done, and I'm done.
I almost got to that point, and it was a really terrible. Like I was just like, I don't know, maybe I'm just gonna move on with my life.
That's how I was. I'm like, I'm done with this.
Part of it for me. Well, actually, I did.
Did you beat every level?
No, that's how I realize now. Basically, I went and I beat it with like less than the overall, like all the stuff, and then it was such because I was like, what's the point in beating this if I have to be at the maximum bees and all that stuff? It's like that's for me personally. I was like, I want this to, and then I heard online that this wasn't even the design of the original thing. Like you had to, they didn't have checkpoints.
That's
so
a nightmare.
When I hear that, that's horrifying. So I was like, nah, I gotta go through and try this with this, and that's what I did. And then I finally got it, and there was once a point where I wanted to go from the very beginning all the way through, just like the original. And when I started realizing just how horrifying this actually was, I went and like once I beat it, I went and I just immediately deleted it because there was a part of me that was just like, no, you can't.
That's a shame because the levels in that game are actually like fantastic.
I also thought that the impossible layer did what I think the concept was pretty nuts. I don't know about.
They did it. They did what they.
Yeah, that was the game they wanted to make. Their dream came true.
Yep.
That's funny, actually.
So, for now, the list is for me: finish Nier, Horizon Zero Dawn, and this is like not in any particular order. Hollow Knight, Bravely Default 2, Torna 2, Xenoblade, Bowser's Fury, and eventually finish Pokemon Sun so I can do Pokemon Sword.
Yeah, man. What about, do you have Hollow Knight on that list?
Yeah, it's on there.
Okay, let's Octopath. Are you ever going to go back to that, or are you down with that?
I'm done with it.
But are you going to play that mobile one?
Yeah, I'll probably download it.
What about an Octopath 2? Are you just out of that franchise?
I'll probably do Octopath 2. Can't guarantee I'll beat it, but I'll try it.
Okay. Well, they should be dissociated enough from each other.
Mm-hmm.
They should. So what about Bravely Default 2?
Buy it, can't promise it that I'll beat it.
Barring a miracle, right?
Yeah, it depends on how much I like it.
Do you remember how hyped that music was for the first one, though?
Pretty good, especially the final boss.
Yeah, that might
the real final boss, not the fake final boss.
That might boost
even though the fake final boss was hyped too.
Yeah, just saying that might boost you up like into wanting to play it.
I'm all about new Attack on Titan opening themes that are used as battle themes.
Yeah, Rivo was very cool. I want a game with Solano as a soundtrack guy again. I want him as a composer.
I'm surprised he hasn't done more game compositions. You liked that Xenoblade X music.
Yeah, any person that says that soundtrack sucks is tripping hard. Man, I don't know. So I mean, I look at my list and I'm like, well, I'm not really gonna play Control too much or like get too serious about that. And then Nier Replicant depends on the reviews. If I see that reviews are bad on that, that's not even getting a download. Pokemon Shield, I have no plans on playing that anytime soon. Yakuza is going to be one of those that, like, when it comes out for PS5...
In 2 weeks.
When it comes out for PS5...
In 2 weeks.
I may not get it that soon, but...
You should. Matter of fact, actually, true story, the PS4 version is, like, on sale on Amazon for, like, $29. And if you have it, it's like an automatic free upgrade. So if you're thrifty, you might as well just buy it now. And then you'll get like a patch. But that said, even the PS4 version's pretty good as is. The only thing is like you're going to be like 2-second loading speeds.
2 seconds.
Just saying, dude. It's probably my game of the year 2021.
Yeah, I don't know. RPGs, you gotta be a particular kind of game to get me interested in RPG.
It's a pretty good RPG with a fantastic story.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that one. Yeah, I think honestly, it's Bravely Default 2, which is what I'm looking forward to, taking up a lot of my time. I see that becoming my primary focus.
I think I know what my problem with with Bravely Default 2 is.
What?
Like, I had to think about it for a second. Basically, I look at it, and I look at, like, all the videos that they've been putting out, like, talking about it, and I feel like it's basically the same game as the first one. Like, I don't feel like it's anything new. I feel like I've already done that twice.
Well, like, in Bravely Second, they really lost a lot of trust, I feel, because
The lack of revo.
It was the same thing again. You've been to the same locations.
With the Bravely series, that's especially bad for spoiler reasons.
Yeah. They really, really lost trust in that first game, and then when they did a lot of the same stuff retread in the second, it was like, oh, you didn't, did you?
You have to have the courage to do it again.
When I saw that pop up, I was horrified. And I was like, what have you done?
What does this mean?
I'm like, oh no. Why? Oh god. Yeah, dude.
What a nightmare.
That's a trip, actually. So I mean, those reviews, it's already on my Switch, so I'm waiting for it to. Those reviews better be good.
I'm predicting a 76 Metascore.
That's pretty good, though.
That's solid.
That game better be good. I'm gonna be pissed, actually. And So okay, let's real quick triangle strategy.
Okay, so I'm like a huge fan of Yasumi Matsuno. I actually like have him on my Instagram as like one of the only people that I follow on Instagram. I love that dude. I think he's like an exceptional genius, one of the true geniuses in the gaming industry. And it's a shame that like his career trajectory has just plummeted. Triangle Strategy is no Yasumi Matsuno game, even though it really wants to be. It looks good. I love the art style. I love the graphic design. I think the character designs, you think they look generic? I think they look fine. Battle system's pretty good. There's some really neat tricks and stuff that they put in there. The music is by a pretty good composer, and I like what they have in the demo. The story is garbage. I was so stoked when Nintendo sent me a survey asking what I thought of the demo.
Have you answered that survey already?
Absolutely.
And did they have a thing about the story?
No. Well, actually, I think they did. But they also have write-in answers. And I'm like, I really like all of these things about the game, but I think the story is really bad. If you're gonna have,
you should be like, don't disqualify this statement because you understand that you dropped me in and I don't understand this. I'm just letting you know this is outside of that. Like, this is actually just bad.
I was able to understand the story just fine. I figure through context, you can figure out what's going on perfectly fine.
You just didn't like it.
I just didn't like it. And this is someone who loves fantasy politics stuff.
Yeah, you're not alone, man. There's some other pretty prominent perspectives out there saying that it's pretty dog crappy.
This should have been 130% within my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
This is a game. If they're taking a game and they want to market it to me, like this is like the game.
This is it.
And what they're presenting me, I'm looking at it and I'm like, thumbs down.
Yeah.
That story, if you're going to have a fantasy war story, don't make it about a dispute over salt and iron. You can make up any fantasy politics that you want. I don't care about a trade dispute. Like, have it over, like, access to, like, an interdimensional portal or something.
Yeah, and maybe it'll go that way, right?
This game pretty clearly takes its inspiration from Tactics Ogre, which is one of the finest games ever made. That had a grounded story, too. And I'm sure that eventually there's going to be some sort of fantastical element. But even Tactics Ogre initially wasn't about something mundane. It was about something pretty horrifying initially. And then it turned even worse.
Instead of about salt and iron?
No, it's about ethnic cleansing. Yeah, they should fire whoever wrote this story and consult Yasumi Matsuno. He'll give you something good.
Bring that guy in.
Yeah, just bring him in.
Bring that guy in.
The dialogue was some of the worst I've seen in a game in a long time. This might be a localization issue. Matter of fact, localization, they probably could have cleaned it up. But I'm willing to bet that the original Japanese author was pretty bad, even in his native language.
You said the soundtrack's pretty solid.
Yeah, soundtrack's solid.
Played a little bit of it, and yeah, I'm just not into that whole thing. Also, I understand it looks like it's got a stolen art style from Octopath, like the in-game graphics and all that.
It's like at least, bare minimum, it's a modified version of that.
It looks like oversaturated, and the sprite work just I understand they have to do a lot more work with it because you have the different angles and you have the rotating like camera stuff, and I guess I should give it credit, but it just kind of just doesn't look that good to me.
I think
it's just not my thing.
My only complaint with the game visually is that I don't think you should be able to like move the camera up or down. I think that makes it a little bit confusing looking. Keep it at like a 45-degree angle.
Yeah, I guess there's that too, right? I think some of the controls for manipulating the camera and stuff are a little more than they need to be. I think like to do certain actions, it takes more effort than it should.
Mm-hmm.
It seems slower to execute some things. I haven't done it in that.
I had some problems with transparency issues too, like for
obstructed objects or something
mm-hmm.
in the view and things like that.
Yeah, sometimes it's a little confusing, but I'm willing to give them some leeway there because it's a game that's fairly early in development.
Yeah, I wonder how different that would be. I really hope that I can keep the demo and then see. I think like I'm gonna be different from you in the sense that this is a genre you really appreciate.
It's probably one of my favorite genres.
And for me, I'm just like bored to tears how long it takes for battles to. It just was that first battle. I know we're dropped mid game and it's supposed to be harder. Battle wasn't hard. It just was very long, and I was like, oh god, oh no, this sucks. And so it's like I just don't know. There's some interesting things, like some enemies being weak against certain things, terrain effects,
mounts.
There's some weird mount thing but then it was stupid that this guy was on a horse, climbs up a ladder,
and then
he's
the horse.
on the horse again. Yeah. I
didn't do that. I rode the griffin thing up like
it was awesome because they show him not on the horse when he climbs up, and then the horse is just up there.
That's a little odd.
It was like, okay, come on, guys. Okay, you're like, this is a fantasy game. You should no.
That's bad.
Actually,
that's bad.
That's low hanging fruit, and it could have also been a cool component where they say,
get off your horse.
Yeah, when the character has to ever uses some kind of a climbing thing, or like then that's kind of interesting. He's a character with a horse.
There could also be like terrain types where the horse can't go on it. So
that's actually something that could be cool. That's like something to consider. It's like we don't want to take your character up there, a horse character. You're gonna want a character that's like consolidated or something, or you need to travel far distances or get out. There's some interesting things about it. I'm not gonna write it off entirely yet.
But it's hard to be enthusiastic about it.
Absolutely. but anyway, the reason I brought that up is due to Octopath, man. I'm still waiting on that mobile, but Octopath, I would have put that as a game you should play. I would have argued it would be a game you should play before Bravely Default 2. The reason I would say
come to think of it, the Octopath team, because I'm gonna assume just based off of the game visually that there's some sort of connection between Triangle Strategy and Octopath.
Are you gonna say the Octopath team knows how to make an interesting battle system?
No, I was gonna say Octopath is like also inspired by another one of my favorite series, the Saga series.
Oh yeah.
But again, they failed to draw me in because of the story.
I think you got busy with other things. I think
there's definitely some issues with how that story was presented, though.
There's a story the problem with how they integrate the different stories, and they could have done a much better job. You're like, yeah, the problem is they didn't integrate the different stories. But they could have made that thing better. And
they should have made it if they want you to either keep them separate, have it like Saga where you have a specific path.
They basically all the way to the very end. They're all separate actually.
But then you can get everyone though. You don't they shouldn't allow you to go through every zone in one playthrough.
Some characters would not team up with other characters for their missions.
Yep.
This was a complaint from that one journalist,
Jason Schreier.
Honestly, he's not wrong. Like, there's this one person who's like, I'm firmly against murder, and like
The other one's like,
and then like your other character's like, I'm gonna murder these people, and she straight out does.
well, there's like this thing where it's like, basically in terms of field skills, you'll have 4 people, and then there's like another 4 people that are like the evil version of their field skill.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you have one person who like convinces people to join them, and then you have like another person that like bribes people to join them.
The way they manage those skills initially presented a great promise, but when it came to actual execution, they basically copy pasted half of the skills and made them weird. Like you had the good version and the bad version, and it's like the good version you could just pay for things or like have like different like things that wouldn't hurt people's feelings or cause you risk, like reputation fees. I think it was half baked, and they should have developed that better because I think there's a lot of value to it. I personally think that they should have also integrated the stories a little bit better to make it make sense. Like at least have the character on a mission say something. Like they don't even do that. Like you could have had the character be like, I'm against this murder thing, don't do it. And then yeah, that would have been like better, I think.
There's a lot of things, but you know, it's also a budget title, so it's like how much slack should we cut them, really, you know?
Yeah, it's like a budget title, like you just said.
So it's like to a degree, it's like, okay, this is essentially like a glorified indie title.
Yeah, but it was man, oh man.
I'd rather take anything from this studio than like the Tokyo RPG Factory or whatever it's called.
Yeah, we gotta watch what we say, otherwise the studio won't get enough money to defeat the Tokyo studio.
Dream Studio or whatever it's called.
Yeah, Tokyo Game Factory.
That is a game factory.
Terrible name for
just
that
the worst games.
Yeah, it's like, oh no, they didn't. That's terrible, dude. Anyway.
Well, you know, another game I'm going to put on the list, even though I'm not too hyped for it. But I heard it's coming out this year. Final Fantasy 16. Oh, no.
What are you going to your... Oh, no, Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah.
We need a blood pack that when I move out to this area, I'm going to, like, want to play... have us both play 15. That's coming, dude.
That's really soon.
That's sooner than later, man. But that's like more like May time when.
That's sooner rather than later, though.
Yeah.
That's solidly coming. That's like basically functionally what this is going to turn into is near Horizon Zero Dawn, Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. Well, you know, basically we never beat 15. We got to a certain point, but then they kept changing the game and adding things and being strange with it.
Yep.
So we were just like, oh, we're done playing this thing.
Yep. But because we decided we're gonna wait for all the DLC to come out so we can play the completed version. But then basically they went and canceled like half the game.
Mike, I'll tell you, there is a significant amount of effort that you will need to put into Horizon Zero Dawn to finish that before then.
We'll get there.
You have a journey ahead of you. And you need to play the DLC part of it. So if you don't have that downloaded, ensure that you do it, because that is like basically the real like I'll need to give you guidance on that. Horizon Zero Dawn has a fantastic sci-fi story. It's one of the best sci-fi stories I've seen in a game. It's one of the best sci-fi stories I've seen in a game. It's also one of the best integrations of the story, where they do this kind of thing that has been popularized by Dark Souls, where they let the world tell a story, but not so much the same way, where they have you find like a lot of like verbal diaries and like slowly
logs.
All these logs that like slowly...
I think Bethesda really started that sort of thing.
I believe that. I don't think it's there. I don't want to do the Dark Souls is everything kind of argument, because Dark Souls does it much more through like environmental storytelling, and like letting the atmosphere, and like they do piece the lore together, but it's far more nebulous, less kind of upfront. Horizon Zero Dawn's pretty upfront. You know what that story is, and by the time you understand what actually happened and the mystery of that world that would create a world like that, you'll be like, oh god. I absolutely got some chills playing the game. It's one thing one of my coworkers that agrees with me on is that the execution is so fantastic. I know you have a problem with the main character is like over talkiness. The character of Alloy is like actually a really cool protagonist. You're really gonna root for her. You may not root for how much she babbles about stuff and like. What was the complaint you have about that?
So basically, she like is incessantly talking to herself all the time. Like I told you this earlier. Basically, like I'll be walking around, and she'll be like, "I should really go check out that hill over there," and then I'll just keep walking. That hill looks really important, and then I'll like walk some more. Man, I think Frederick will be really mad if I don't go check out that hill.
Yeah.
Or something.
It's so like it's getting late. I need to check out that. It's like wow, they recorded 7 different lines trying to prompt me to go check out this hill, and it's like wow, like you said earlier, it's like why don't you just let me enjoy my open world game? I'm seeing something, I'm enjoying it. It's something that like Breath of the Wild does far better.
Just shut up and let me
let me
experience.
Yeah, I'll funnel into it. You know?
I'll get there eventually. Keep like a glowing token on the map.
I have enough of what I need, and anyway, it's interesting. but there's some things that aren't as good about it compared to like say Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima has like a refined.
Ghost of Tsushima was a game that knew that you don't need your main character to talk every 5 seconds.
Yeah, I think it's in that regard a more confident game. It's actually a lot more confident. I think they did a lot of overkill in some of the designs of systems in Horizon. There'll be some things you dislike.
Now, like Horizon Zero Dawn, I was so frustrated by it that I actively began disliking Aloy's voice actress, Ashley Birch. No offense to her. She's like a perfectly fine human.
Yeah.
But I was just done.
That character, like the execution of those automatic like voice promptings is that bad. But man, I'll tell you that like she's like real. Like you will empathize with that character. You should by the end. I was.
That's cool.
It's a good game, but that's the list. I guess. Turns out the dark horse is Final Fantasy 15.
We forgot about that.
It'll kind of eclipse everything because we have to go back, Mike.
We'll get there.
We have to go back.
All right. Well, that's it for tonight. Any closing thoughts, Tristan?
No.
All right. I guess we better get to work then.
Yep.